So we're so excited to have Ellen as our last speaker of today. Ellen is from the Bay Area and fell in love with the outdoors through catching reptiles. With this passion, Ellen graduated from UC Santa Cruz in June of 2020, majoring in environmental studies with a focus in biology. For the past few years, Ellen has explored various avenues in the environmental field, from working as a soundscape technician in the Grand Canyon, outdoor education in Golden Gate Recreation Area and Olympic National Park, and has even worked with elephant seals at Point Reyes National Seashore. So Ellen came into serving with Mendocino County Resource Conservation District as their Forest Ecosystem Planning Outreach Fellow with a huge, broad range of experience, and just so excited to hear more about your service here, Ellen.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for the introduction. I will share my screen now. Okay, let me put it in. Okay, is everyone able to see that? Thumbs up from the crowd? Awesome, thank you. Okay, yeah, so my name is Ellen Murphy, and I am the Forest Ecosystem Management Education and Planning GrizzlyCorps Fellow at the Mendocino County Resource Conservation District. And I'm happy to be one of the GrizzlyCorps Fellows of the RCD. Jessica Reed is the other one. And I'm a third generation GrizzlyCorps Fellow at the MCRCD. And yeah, it's been an amazing experience, and I'm excited to share it with y'all. To start, Mendocino County is a large county with about 90% of the land is privatized and 10% is public, and a large portion of the county is forested. So there is not a lack of work for the MCRCD when it comes to conserving, protecting, and restoring wild and working landscapes. And it's been an honor to work alongside the permanent staff at the MCRCD. So to kick off my presentation, as y'all heard, I love reptiles, and that's kind of what got me into this line of work. So I have always found a way to make sure that I can appreciate reptiles and amphibians. And so, especially while in Mendocino County, there is a huge diversity of amphibians and reptiles. So I just wanted to share some of the cool creatures I found while working on the job. My my boss, Doug, has always been very patient with me when we're on forest site visits and I'm lifting up every log because it's important to know what's underneath. But yeah, so this was my introduction to forestry. So while here, I've had the opportunity to explore various subjects through talking to professionals, assisting with projects in reforestation, forest thinning, cone surveying, and monitoring, coordinating between multiple agencies, working with partnering agencies such as NRCS, and reading various literature. So I've really gotten to jump into the deep end with forestry. And yeah, to start, I have a background in wildlife biology. So while on site visits, as you can see, I've been really looking at amphibians. And when I'm writing prescriptions for forests on how to treat them, I tend to gravitate towards treating the forest to enhance wildlife habitat. It's kind of always my underlining goal. So from this, I learned a lot about regulations in place to protect species, such as the northern spotted owl, and also how to use tools like the California Natural Diversity Database for mapping and planning for forest treatment projects, and also just the importance of a mosaic within a forest structure so it can provide a diversified habitat for increased species complexity. And so during this process, I learned that forest practices are complex, even just how to lay down a log. There's a lot of different ways to do it to enhance various parts of the forest. If you lay a log perpendicular to a slope, it has a very different effect if it's the other way. So it definitely, yeah, there's a lot of complexities within forest practices, and there's a reason that it takes 7 years to become a registered professional forester, which is something I learned this year. So yeah. And then also while exploring the forest, I learned that when you're beginning a project, it's important to understand why you want to treat the forest. What is your motivation? And so the most common answer to treating a forest is wanting to reduce wildfire risk or increase forest health. And that's not to say that reducing wildfire risk does not increase forest health, but the prioritization of certain acres on a property versus others can determine what is the main objective. And so there's not a lack of forest to treat, as I said, in Mendocino County. So a lot of what determines our motivation for the forest lies within whom we're working with. So if it's a private landowner or a public agency or where our funding is coming from. So if someone's interested in trying to reduce wildfire risk, normally we're treating around infrastructure such as roads, buildings, water tanks. And if you're trying to treat for forest health, we'll often try to prioritize habitat such as like oak woodlands. And that normally is not near infrastructure. And then other landscape features such as riparian corridors, ridges, or meadows are really important to treat around if you're looking into forest health. So both are important, but the property owner normally determines what will be focused on. And as the RCD, we are able to assist them with their goals, which is a really cool privilege as someone working in natural resources to be able to provide technical assistance for landowners, especially in a disadvantaged community. So moving on. So once you're kind of aware of what the goals are, maybe even before that, you need to understand how you can access the forest. So yeah, a logistical detail we'll ask in a lot of times is, okay, here's this property owner who's really excited to treat their forest. How do we access it? What is accessible? Is it like they have a road only to their house and then the forest is just this expansive property that got to hike around to get to it? And then also, is it private land? Is it public land? Do we need gate codes? That's a really important one that I learned with site visits, is always making sure you have the proper gate codes. And so, yeah, and then even before we show up to properties, we're looking at GIS layers to make maps to understand how to access the forest. So we're using GIS layers like the roads and the parcel data to just understand what we're getting into before we even enter into a property. So for a specific project that I've been working on, the Northern Red Mountain Forest Health Improvement Project, the MCRCD and BLM have partnered to create a shaded fuel break along the road to create safe emergency exit and treat forest health for landowners who live on the mountain. And so something that we ran into is during the winter, it was a heavy winter, we really had some complications with the road because we were operating heavy equipment on these roads and kind of roughing them up in the process. So our job quickly shifted from forest treatment to road damage control. And a lot of the budget that would have gone towards forest treatment had to go towards buying rock to lay on the road, which is fine, but it's things to keep in mind when managing these projects. And then when we're out on site visits, we looked less at the forest in some portions and more on the ruts in the roads, the culverts, down woody debris, and hazardous tree removal. And so that was just an interesting part as a new professional in forestry to understand that sometimes to even start looking at the forest, you got to look at the roads. And so once the road was fixed, we immediately jumped into migratory bird and northern spotted owl's breeding season, which continued restrictions on forest treatment. And yeah, learning these complications within this project as a GrizzlyCorps fellow has prepared me for when I manage my own projects and can later anticipate these roadblocks that arise when working with natural resources. And something that I've just heard over and over again is adaptive management is the name of the game, because yeah, it really makes a world of a difference when you can take problems that arise in a project and continue to adapt to the situation rather than have a fixed mindset. So then finally, you're in the forest, you have your plan, you've talked to your landowner, you know what your goals are, and now it's how are you going to treat the forest? And that's a whole nother avenue that is within forestry. Methods such as mechanical thinning, which you can see in the bottom there with that huge, huge piece of German equipment, that the perspective does not do it justice. That machinery is huge. It just, yeah, it treats forests so fast. And then you also have hand thinning, where you have someone out with a chainsaw actually cutting the trees down. And then you have chipping, where once you have the down woody debris, you can feed it through the chipper to create nice little chips that you see in the like children's playgrounds. And then there's prescribed burns, which is in that other photo in the left. And then burn piles, which you can see above that prescribed burn photo, where you pile everything and then you can just burn it to help get rid of the fuels. And then targeted grazing, which my heart is definitely set on, where you can see here you have a sheep in an oak woodland, just helping reduce fuel loads. And yeah, and there can be, the beauty of it all is you can do a combination of all of these or just one or two. It really depends, and every treatment offers pros and cons, but only burning and targeted grazing actually remove fuels from the forest. So if you have a wildfire risk mindset, you normally want to do either some sort of burning or some sort of targeted grazing, or you want to make sure that things can decompose once they've been rearranged, once fuels have been rearranged, so that they can not actually be a fire risk when on the ground. So like mechanical hand thinning often just rearrange fuels and don't actually, and they're mostly used to prevent ground fires from becoming crown fires, because you're taking a lot of ladder fuels like smaller trees and you're bringing them onto the ground. And so yeah, it's all important and it has different spots and different timelines. So for example, something I've enjoyed while working on various projects is the long-term mindset that landowners and managers have when treating the forests. So they might start with a heavy-duty mechanical treatment to kind of do the big clean out, like the big spring cleaning. And then following years, they may use prescribed burn or burn piles or targeted grazing to maintain the forest thinning practices. So that it's, because it's not a one and done cleaning. Once you've treated the forest, it's a lifetime project, which is always fun and something we definitely emphasize to folks who own forests. So one of the ways that we interact with landowners and help give them technical assistance is through our cost share programs. So we have the North Bay Forest Improvement Program, which I've worked a large part on. And we also have various ones with NRCS and with CAL FIRE. So there's a lot of cost share programs, a lot of opportunities for funding landowners who want to treat their forests but may not have the means on their own. And so when working on these programs, I got to help write technical reports. I got to use mapping tools like ArcGIS, and I did forest inventory plot studies. I also got to use software like the Forest Vegetation Simulator and learn how to actually analyze those forest inventory plots. And then I got the opportunity to expand practices within the program. So I got to write the brush management practice, so that not only can you treat the forest, but also you can treat the adjacent chaparral or the brush within the forest, like dense huckleberry. And then also targeted grazing. I got to really deep dive into this niche practice in forestry that kind of combines the agricultural realm and forestry to help have this combination of two programs that can have really cool effects if done right. So a lot of caveats there. And then I also got to help with outreach and education. I got to interview two landowners. These are the folks in these photos on the left, Paul Putter and Lisa Ray. They were very nice and let me interview them and write stewardship highlights to be featured in a story map. And then on the right there, you can see my boss, Doug Turk. We had a snowy season, which was pretty rare, but very cool. And there we are in the forest, kind of tromping around. I threw a bunch of snowballs because that's what you have to do when it snows, right? And then something I love and my favorite, not favorite, but definitely up there part of GrizzlyCorps is you get to have so many training opportunities. I felt like I got to try everything. I got to do a prescribed burn. I got to do tree planting. I got to go birding at our willets mitigation project. And I got to monitor culverts with an NRCS engineer. I did snow survey monitoring. I got to go to an erosion and sediment field school, which got me on my kick of understanding the importance of roads. I did a sudden oak death blitz. I helped with a implementation project to use down woody debris in creeks or streams or any kind of water course to then help spread the flow. And yeah, I had a diverse opportunity to train in various avenues, and that's definitely something I really love about my experience at GrizzlyCorps and with the MCRCD is I got flexibility to really explore all the fields. And then something else that I got to emphasize and work on is outreach and education. I got to produce 2 newsletters for the RCD to share all the projects and work that folks at the RCD are working on. And I've been helping out with the social media on Instagram, which has been fun. And then I got to go to an Earth Day event at Hopland and also at Coyote Valley. And it's just been an amazing opportunity to get to be out in the community. And every time I go out, I always hear so much from folks saying how much they appreciate the MCRCD. And they always name off folks within the RCD that they have gotten to work with. And then, yeah, a big part is just helping produce maps, because when you show up to a site visit on a property and you can show them a map of their property and all the water courses and the various biodiversity on their property, folks really appreciate it and helps them understand how to even begin managing the land that they own. And then last but not least, community. I've had an amazing opportunity to just work in great community. The RCD has such a lively group of folks, and we got to go on a workday event at Leonard Lake Reserve and actually do some forest thinning, which was so much fun. So that's what you're seeing at the top picture. And then, yeah, the other GrizzlyCorps fellows in the area, like Jess and Chloe, it's just been a blast to hang out with them and get to, yeah, just experience this wonderful county and all the natural resources in it. As you can see, Jess and Chloe have a moss beard. And yeah, it's just been an amazing opportunity. I can't express my gratitude for getting to learn from everyone and get to, and then the best part is I get to continue my time at the RCD, the Mendocino County RCD. So I'm really excited to continue in this community, and yeah, and can't express my gratitude enough. So thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Ellen. Well, we have time for questions or comments, so feel free to raise your hand and mute yourself. Yeah, we welcome anything. Yeah, Doug.
Yeah, I just want to, so Ellen and I work together, and I just want to say that what a joy Ellen has been to have on the team at the RCD. Her enthusiasm and willingness to jump in, take on any project and wrestle it to the ground, and is just amazing. And we love having her here, and very much thank her for her work and her time at the RCD.
Thank you, Doug. I appreciate it. I enjoy working with you.
Ellen, I just want to second all that. What a great presentation, and love hearing about all that you have learned and the work that you've done at the RCD. It's inspiring to me to see all that you've learned this year. I love that you all the herps in your first photo that you showed, and that's really amazing. That's like a dozen species at least, it looks like. I would love to learn more about those too as well. And I love that you brought that to our team, this appreciation of the herps out in the forest.
been my pleasure. Thanks for always listening about it.
Hi, I'm
Yeah,
I'm
Stephanie.
I'm Stephanie. This is Amy, and I just wanted to tell you, Ellen, we loved your presentation. You have been an absolute blast to work with. You're so awesome. Yeah, just keep up the good work, and we just loved having you here. You're just a wonderful person, and I just loved working with you.
Oh, thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate that.
And you tell the best jokes.
Yeah.
That's the goal of your laugh. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, there's so much gratitude for you, Ellen. You are absolutely incredible. And I know your co-fellow at the RCD is going to be presenting tomorrow at 4 p.m. So I encourage everyone to tune into that as well. But thanks, Ellen, for all that you do. We're been really grateful to have you in the GrizzlyCorps program, and hopefully excited to see you at graduation.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for so much for tuning in. And these are recorded, so please feel free to share after we post those.
Thank you, Eliza.